Hey everyone, and welcome to my second episode ever of Ew with Nikki. For those of you who are new here, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nikki. I am a registered nurse, just graduated with my Master's of Science in Nursing, waiting to take my family nurse practitioner board exams. And I am a lifestyle and wellness blogger. I have been for a very long time. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel. I finally did last week. And here is my second video. Today's topic is going to be all about hair loss. I personally struggle with hair loss. I have for the last maybe 10 years. And August is Hair Loss Awareness Month, Alopecia Awareness Month. So before the month comes to an end, I wanted to make this video because it's a topic that I'm super passionate about. It's something that I struggle with. I know a lot of people struggle with it, and it's like not an easy thing to talk about, so let's dive in. There are a bunch of different types of hair loss. There's alopecia areata, there's androgenetic alopecia, which is what this video is going to be about because that's the most common type of hair loss in the US, and that's what I personally struggle with. Hair shaft abnormalities, there's a ton of types of alopecia. But I'm going to talk about androgenetic alopecia, which is hormonal hair loss, also called female pattern hair loss, male pattern hair loss, or baldness. I am not a hair loss specialist or professional, so if any of this is wrong and you are some sort of professional, please feel free to let me know. Also, if you have struggled with this, have your own experience, definitely feel free to comment on this video, message me privately on Instagram so that we can chat. Okay, so I was diagnosed with androgenetic alopecia probably 3 years ago at this point. I've definitely suffered with it for a lot longer, but 3 years ago is when I actually went to go see a specialist, so that's when I got diagnosed. I originally saw an endocrinologist when I was maybe 15 years old. Did blood work. He's like, oh, your hormone levels are off. Let's just put you on birth control and we'll recheck your levels in 3 months. So that's what was done. And 3 months later, checked my levels. Everything was normal. So he's like, okay, just stay on this for now. Fast forward 10 years later, or more than 10 years, because I'm older than 25. I had been on birth control the entire time. I had taken small pauses just to kind of see my levels, and every time I had gotten off, I'd gotten off for like 4 months, and my levels always like were abnormal again. So at this point, it was my gynecologist that I was seeing. She's like, okay, yeah, like the way that you fix it is get on birth control, so get back on it. I've took spironolactone, which is another medication that kind of helps out androgen imbalances. Did that, and that was kind of the end of it. Fast forward a little bit to last year, so end of July, beginning of August 2022, I was like, I want to get off birth control. I felt fine. I never had any issues, as I'm not here to slam birth control by any means. I was fine. I had been on it my whole life. I had absolutely no issues on it. But I'm like, I want to get off and like see what my hormones are, like check my levels now that I'm like fully grown, fully developed. Like, let's just give it time. Let's see what my levels are. So I did that, and I waited about 8 months to check my levels. I'm like, let me really let this settle. I don't want to do it in 3 months. Maybe that's too soon. I'm like, let me give this like time. Waited about 8 months. I went to my doctor. I'm like, look, I want to check my level. And she was like, why? And I'm like, because I want to. Like, I've been on birth control for 10 years and I've always had hormonal imbalances. So is it inappropriate for me to want to check my hormone levels? So that was like weird. But after I explained it to her, it wasn't my doctor, by the way, it was one of the NPs at the office. After I explained it to her, she's like, okay, yeah, we'll do an entire PCOS workup. PCOS, for those of you who don't know, is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's very in-depth. I'm not going to get into it now. We did the whole workup, and all my hormones were perfect. Like, I've never seen such perfect hormone levels in my life, thankfully. Did an ultrasound to check if there's any cysts on my ovaries. No cysts, thankfully. insulin, like hemoglobin A1C, glucose, all of that, a-okay. Thyroid, we checked that as well, perfecto, nothing wrong. So while I'm extremely grateful that, you know, everything was in tune and perfect and, you know, all of that, I was kind of just like, what's the cause of the hair loss then, if all my hormones are fine now? I had a follow-up scheduled with my hair loss doctor that I see. It was actually last week. I went for my follow-up. That was gonna be a couple months after I did all that blood work. So I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna see him soon. Let me just wait and see. So I saw him last week. They do some like hair measurement there to kind of check. I've been on treatment. It's a topical solution. I've been on treatment for about 3 years now, and they do a measurement to kind of assess your hair growth or loss. When I first started, these numbers are gonna mean nothing to you. They kind of mean nothing to me because I don't know what unit of measurement it is. But just to give you guys a reference, when I first started going, my hair, they like grab it up here and they do something. The measurement was at a 42, I think, when I first started. And over the last 3 years, it's gone up to a 71. When I went last December, the only change I made was getting off the birth control. Everything has been the same. Take a regular multivitamin and then my topical solution that doctor prescribes me. Last December, so that's like 5 months of being off of the hormonal birth control pills, my measurement went from a 71 to a 64, which was a little discouraging. Doctor said it could be from getting off of the birth control, or it could just be, you know, a fluctuation. And then when I went back last week, the measurement had gone from a 64 to a 62. So not a huge dip, but still a dip. So that was a little frustrating. I wanted to cry in the office just because I was like frustrated. So I asked the doctor, I'm like, look, I told him I checked all my levels, everything's fine, I don't have cysts. I told him the whole story that I told you guys. And he's like, yeah, well, that's great, but just you have androgenetic alopecia. Your body is just more sensitive to your androgens. You're just more sensitive to that. So when your new hair is growing, there's a cycle, a follicle cycle. When your new hair is growing, instead of growing back as a thick hair, it's growing back as a very thin hair. And I'm like, it's not really the answer that I want to hear. So essentially, like, my only options are to continue this topical treatment, either try spironolactone again, try birth control pills again. And that's what he said my options were. That's where I'm at personally with my hair loss journey. I know it's different for everyone, and I'm still like really improved compared to when I first started. It's just frustrating to not have a definitive answer and to just kind of have to take it like, oh, it is what it is, which I guess like a lot of people with other health conditions, that's kind of what it is. There's a lot of different causes. It's genetic, it could be environmental, hormone imbalances could be another cause. In men, it's oftentimes or sometimes associated with prostate issues. In women, like I talked about earlier a little bit, it's associated with PCOS. Last like 10 years, everyone's like, oh, you probably have PCOS. Oh, you have PCOS. And I'm like, no, I don't. And they just said that because my hair was thin. I'm like, hair loss is not synonymous with PCOS. But anyway, I digress. It's not something that people like to talk about. I was like always embarrassed about my hair, especially when I was in like high school is when it first started becoming an issue, I want to say. It does add a level of insecurity. One, especially I was on my high school's cheer team, when we're doing our hair for cheerleading and everyone has these like pretty big thick curly ponytails or braids like we used to do, and mine was like little little rat tail sticking out. So like that definitely affects your confidence. I've learned to deal with it over the years. I've tried a bunch of treatments, biotin, thickening shampoos. I have not tried Nutrafol yet. I would love to try it. I'm gonna try it. I just heard that it's 4 pills and I'm like, oh my goodness, 4 pills a day, that's a lot. But on top of the ones that I already take. But I want to try Nutrafol. I'm obviously using a topical solution that my doctor sends me, which has helped a ton. I've gotten hair extensions in the past. When I got hair extensions for the first time, I almost cried because I was like, oh my god, this is what it feels like to just like have hair. And I didn't have them super long. I didn't put a ton in because I wasn't gonna go from 0 to 100. But when I got my hair extensions, oh my god, I was a different person. I was like, ooh, ooh. The confidence was like up here. That for a while, but then realistically I'm like, this is just masking a bigger problem and I need to get to the bottom of it. And I feel like those hair extensions were just ruining my hair, which they were. I don't even want to talk about what my hair looked like when I took those hair extensions out. And ever since I took them out and started seeing the hair specialist, which was about 3 years ago, I've just been on a hair loss / regrowth journey. That is my story about hair loss. I figured August was an appropriate month to talk about it. I've talked about it before, but I mean, obviously my YouTube channel is new, so perfect first video, first topic to talk about. If you have struggled with something similar, please feel free to message me on Instagram, comment here, or if you don't want to talk to me, look up in your area if there's a hair loss specialist. I go to Miami Hair Institute. They've been great with me. It's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing struggle, honestly, and my confidence just goes up and down depending on where I'm at in this journey, but nevertheless, I'm healthy and I'm alive. So not to be dramatic, but those are like just the 2 most important things to be grateful for always. Because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't like my nose or I don't like my ears, and it's like, I get it, we are all self-conscious about something. For me, the thing I'm most self-conscious about is my hair. It's important to just take a quick step. I'm not saying to just like abandon, like if you want to do something about something you're self-conscious about, by all means do it. I'm not going to stop my hair treatment. It's important to always just be grateful for your overall health. I'm always going to be open about talking about my struggles with androgenetic alopecia. I post about it all the time on my Instagram, so make sure to give me a follow. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Next week's video, maybe like week and a half, is gonna be a vlog. I'm going to Detroit to visit my sister. She's living over there in medical school. So that'll be a fun video. It's gonna be vlog style, so stay tuned for that. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with a friend, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.